Barakatay Hawa, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachak Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Digital Age, the Prison of the Future. And pretty much, this is a lesson based around some articles that I have. I didn't get a chance to really read through them. I did read through one of them, and I found an interesting point, and I just wanted to bring that out, highlight that, and hit a couple of precepts. In Lord's will, this will be an edifying lesson. What you're looking at in front of you is the dollar, the FRN, but then on the left side it's the dollar or the FRN. On the right side is the same dollar, but in the form of digits, because pretty much this is where the monetary system and the wave of the future is heading, is digital. I just happened to look up the word digital age, and it says the digital age refers to the time period in which personal computers and other subsequent technologies were introduced to provide users the ability to easily and rapidly transfer information. Which brings to mind the book of Daniel, chapter 12, and verse 4. It says, "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end," which we're in the time of the end. "Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." And pretty much you just heard what it said here at the bottom. Technologies were introduced to provide users the ability to easily and rapidly transfer information. That's knowledge. So the word knowledge down here goes to the word da'ith, which goes back to the word yadai, which means to know or knowledge. Knowledge, perception, skill, discernment, understanding, wisdom. And this wisdom has allowed these devils to create this, what we know today as the web. So the first precept, and the reason why this is so important, is because when the web was created, it was created to transfer, information at a rapid rate. Instead of having to, in these times you have planes and horses and, actually planes and different things of that nature, now at the stroke of a couple of keys, you can find pretty much any information that you need. Back in the days, you had the Pony Express. You had to wait for letters to be delivered. You had to wait for messages to be delivered. Going all the way back, you had something called a post in the scriptures, which was pretty much and the post was pretty much a fast runner that would bring information from one person to another, or one king to another, or from one realm or city or country. Well, not country, because it'll take a while. From one place to another. And that's what pretty much the post was. And today you have news articles like the New York Post and different things of that nature. They pretty much got it from the concept of the deliverer of news. And the way that is being done now is at the stroke of a key. You had telegrams at one time, and that was considered to be, high-tech technology back then. But today you have the internet, and that's why knowledge has been increased. The first article I have is this here. It says, "Snowless Davos readies new face for World Economic Forum meeting." And there is another right here. Air Force jets to enforce a no-fly zone over World Economic Forum over Davos. Okay, so the Air Force is gonna enforce this no-fly zone over WEF, World Economic Forum. All right. Now, what I found interesting in this article was in the very first, you can see a picture of it there, Davos, which is a city in Switzerland. But what I found interesting was this: Davos, Switzerland, May 16, Reuters. Movers and shakers arriving for the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum this month can pack sandals instead of ski boots for a rare springtime version of the event in Davos. The Swiss ski resort that is the Swiss ski resort that is Europe's highest city. So Davos in Switzerland is Europe's highest city, and they're hosting the WEF, or the World Economic Forum, there. And what do you think they're going to be discussing? The future of money, the future of the economy, and it's heavy how they are pushing for a new world order, and the way where they are holding this meeting at is considered to be the highest city in Europe, because these devils are pushing for that so-called New World Order, the NWO, their agenda. So I found that pretty interesting that they would be holding this meeting here in the highest city in Europe. Salaki for a minute. All right, Salaki for that. So this is the highest city in Europe. All right. So it says in December, organizers postponed the meeting of government, business, and other leaders just before its traditional January slot, citing the difficulties of holding in-person conference during the C to the to the V, P to the D, the CVPD. Simply putting on the event after a 2-year hiatus is welcome news to locals who, a 2017 study showed, benefit from $60 million windfall every time it takes place. All the people here are very glad that the World Economic Forum is coming back now. It is another step back to normality, said Samuel Rosenast, spokesperson for the local tourism board. Excuse me. The pandemic slammed hotels and restaurants in Davos, whose fresh air and sunlight drew sanitariums featured in trying to see if there's anything of interest here. The whole Congress business was dead. Construction crews. Right. The Swiss government will deploy as many as 5,000 military personnel to support local police. Air Force jets will again circle above to enforce a no-fly zone. I didn't really read through this. I read some of it. I probably did read most of it, but the main thing I was looking at was just that little part right there, that this is Europe's highest city. All right, this is Moon of Alabama. This is an article called How Europe Was Pushed Toward Economic Suicide. With the active help from Europe's leadership, the U.S. is succeeding in ruining Europe. It says America no longer has a monetary power and seemingly chronic trade and balance of payments surplus that enabled it to draw up the world's trade and investment rules in 1944 through 45. The threat to U.S. dominance is that China, Russia, and Mackinder's Eurasian world island heartland are offering better trade and investment opportunities than are available from the United States, with its increasingly desperate demand for sacrifices from its NATO and other allies. And pretty much what's happening is America's losing her grip because, truth be told, first and foremost is prophecy that she's going down. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Second of all, the international bankers already used America for what they needed it for. Now they no longer need it. Like, what was his name? Anthony Hilder once said that America is the great patsy. So no longer is she needed anymore, really. So that's why they're allowing everything to collapse on itself, because they've had world dominance, but now they have the upper hand, and they have the economic fortitude, for lack of better words, to withstand a great crash worldwide. And that's exactly what they want, so that they can reset. And in resetting something, that means everything has to be rebooted. And once it's rebooted, it's going to be a fresh start for them as they pushing the narrative for. It's going to be a fresh start, with fresh rules and regulations, fresh money, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And this is why they're pushing for everything to go online, right? This is MasterCard introduces controversial bio payments that require a face scan. I believe the brother Karatazar from Vegas, he did something on it. I'm not sure if he did the MasterCard one or what different one, or if it was this same one here. I'm pretty sure it was the MasterCard one, right? And what is happening? Everything is being pushed biometrically. Everything is being pushed digitally. Why? Because ultimately what they want is the MOTB, to be implemented for any move. Any move you make has to be done that way. That's why everything is being facial scan, eye retina scan, fingerprints, biometric this, digital that. Because everything's being pushed, to go online. So that's why you go to stores. At one time, you were able to pay through the self-checkout. Now a lot of these self-checkouts are only accepting credit cards. They're not accepting cash, some of them. And they're pushing that to make it more inconvenient for you. So you got to stand in the line with a cashier, but then the line is way longer. And then when you look to wherever these self-checkouts are, there's barely anybody there. But the difference is you got to have a card to pay. And they're getting everybody used to that, because that's going to be the wave of the future. That's how they want, to push the infrastructure of the future, which would be the MOTB, which is the charagma. And then the last article I have here is The Last American Vagabond. Let's see. Exposing the digital ID is a human right scam. A major component of the Great Reset technocratic agenda is the implementation of a worldwide digital identity scheme. One of the first steps to realize this goal is to convince the public that digital identity programs are a human right worth fighting for. And these people are going to accept it. Why? Because the scriptures say that they're going to be deceived into accepting it. See? Because everything is going to be made to seem like it's a miracle, Because some people are going to be deceived money-wise. Some people are going to be deceived medical-wise, so on and so forth. It says, why is the push for digital identity absolutely vital to the technocrats' visions? And I'm gonna answer that, because everything is going to be pushed through the MOTB, because that is biblical prophecy, the charagma. And that's how business is going to be conducted in the future. That's why the name of the lesson is Digital Age, the Prison of the Future. No one will be able to move or shake in this society, in the grid of the so-called quote-unquote elite, unless they comply with the rules of the game. And the rules of the game require everyone to have the charagma in them. See? It says the world of 2030, and this is what they're pushing for, Agenda 2030, which they pushed Agenda 2020 back way before 2020 came around. They accomplished their goals for the 2020. Now they're going for the 2030. The one in which the World Economic Forum imagines you will own nothing and be happy. And that's the truth. Why? Because you're going to just be a slave. You're going to be, a cyborg, you're going to be programmed mentally, digitally, to accept whatever the master says. The movie Demolition Man, you had Wesley Snipes, right? I forgot what his name was in the movie, but he, when he was let out of prison, he was programmed with certain skills, right? Fighting and all that, whatever. But then one of the things that he was programmed with was what? The master of that whole system, he couldn't kill him because there was something in him that would not allow him to do that. So everything is going to be set up. God damn it. Fucking people, man. They decide, they want to start cutting grass when, had all fucking day to do that. Anyway, Salakia. Just thinking out loud. Let's see, I just lost my train of thought. This fucking asshole. Anyways, the movie Demolition Man. There was certain triggers within him, within that digital system that would not allow him to go beyond the boundaries that they set. And that's what they want to do. That it's like Delgado's bull. When you go back and you research Delgado, I believe that was back in the 1960s. He was successful in operating on a bull and putting these prongs or whatever it was on the bull's emotions or whatever, neuros, whatever the hell it was, what is called technical terms. And what happened was they would do something to get the bull, roused up. And when the bull started to attack, he hits the button and the bull shuts down. Why? Because they've studied the brain. They've studied the human anatomy. And they know what makes it function, what makes it tick, what they can do to shut certain parts off. That's why they're coming for the God gene. These devils know exactly what they're doing because they're trying to be like the Most High. Depends on all the income. Let's read this again. The world of 2030, the one in which the World Economic Forum imagines you will own nothing and be happy, depends on an all-encompassing digital ID program. Come on, man. MOTB. C to the H to the I to the P. This digital ID would allow a track and trace society, GPS, tracking and tracing, where the authorities can see every purchase, buying and selling, and every move you make. Every move you make, every breath you take. Esau wants to be right there, watching you. That's a bad song. By the police. Haha, you funny. Inside joke. One could argue much of society has already handed over this data with the ubiquitous use of credit cards. Also, your social media. Facebook, set up by InQtel, which was indirect company that was owned by the CIA, which tracks purchases and phones which log GPS data. However, the digital ID scheme will also be linked to a digital wallet holding the local central bank digital currency, CBDC. We keep telling you through the Spirit that everything is going to be digitalized. And then you have these leaders among Israel that know that they're Israelites that refuse to teach that the MOT to the B is the C to the H to the I to the P. Because they've taken the B to the A to the G. They took that big payoff to turn their back on the Lord. And the Lord is going to destroy every last one of them clowns. Because not only did they take the bribe, but they also are leading the people of the Lord astray in the wrong direction. And condemning the men of the Lord that are out there teaching and that Jake should not do these things. Let's go to Proverbs 17 and 15. He that justifieth the wicked and he that condemneth the just even they both are abomination to the Lord. So you're an abomination to the Lord. Let me see something. So I keep thinking about this scripture. Let me see what it says. Okay. I don't know why that scripture just keeps popping in my head. So let's go back. It says, the digital currency of governments, because remember, it's going to be a worldwide event. That's why let's go real quick to Revelation 3:10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which is what? At the very end. Everything leading up to it, but the main thing is the MO to the TB, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. World, oikumene, earth, gay or geo, is the same thing. It's going to be a worldwide event. That's why the digital currency, CBDC, the digital currency of governments with an S, which will be needed for all legal transactions. And that's why the movie Demolition Man, they show you the above ground, right? Everybody was programmed, moving about, programmed, having to have the CH to the I to the P to function. And then you had the underground, the ones that they consider undesirables. I forgot what they call them in the movie. They lived underground because they were not a part of the infrastructure. They were like the outcasts. It says, eventually, this digital ID and digital wallet will be connected to and impacted by your individual social credit score. And there's no coincidence that back, few years back, like 2, 3 years, 4 years back or so, you had that one Moabite, the face of a sad social credit score where he couldn't even, it was so bad that not only couldn't he get work, he couldn't even get on the public access of transportation. You see, that's how bad it was. He couldn't even get public access. He couldn't even get public transportation. He couldn't drive because he didn't have a license. They revoked that. So everything is on there. So if you go against status quo, if you be bad citizen, they spank you by turning your shit off. And they brought that back. They brought that out. Aaron Russo, all the way back in the 90s. Was it the 90s or I think it was the 2000s when he had that interview with Alex Jones, where he said, if you don't comply, they just turn your CH to the I to the P off. It says, as I have reported since March 2020, these initiatives were already in the works prior to the CV-19er. And it was. And we've been saying that through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, going all the way back to the 90s and to the present. However, it was the beginning of the CV-19er panic that allowed governments around the world to push further towards their vision of technocracy, which the word technocracy is technology ruling. It says, for example, we have been told that use of cash, that's why it says, let's go to it. Rev 13, 1:6. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a M to the A to the R to the K in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell. So you won't be able to function unless you take the branding. Unless you toast to the beast and take his brand, his mark, you won't be able to participate. So that, for example, we have been told that use of cash should be greatly reduced or eliminated altogether because of reports claiming CV-19er spread through dirty old money. And I told you before, I gave you the testimony, I've seen with my own eyes, this older gentleman, Edomite, had to be in his 60s, and he worked at a particular gas station, And all he did was lick money all day. Lick his finger, flick the money. Lick his finger, flick the money. Lick his finger, flick the money. I never seen him catch the CV-19er. This conveniently leads into the calls for digital currency programs such as CBDCs. Dirty money, $30. Let's make it all digital. That way you don't have to touch it. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I know right now you got to swipe your card and type in the money, but we got contactless. These devils think they're so smart, but yet they're so stupid. Of course, we see the push for contact tracing apps to track the alleged spread of disease, and vaccine health passport apps have begun to acclimate the public to carrying a digital ID card with them everywhere they go. The V-Pass is simply a gateway to a digital identity which has already been in the works in the U.S. to one degree or another since at least '05, with the passing of the controversial Real ID Act. See, and just because something is on the books, right, a particular year and nothing happens that year, that doesn't mean that they're not going to use it down the line eventually. Because remember, the scriptures tell us, let's go to Psalm 64. Let's get the point, and then we may come back to this depending on the Spirit. 6. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. See? So they're searching out iniquities. They're accomplishing diligent searches. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. Why? Because they're not telling the public what the deal is. Because they don't want the public to know. Because they want the public to be stupid until it's too late for public. And public fall in trap. And trap hit public. And public can't get out of trap. Hence, public will be digital age, the prison of the future. So like I'm being a little animated, but it is what it is. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. So let's go back. UN Sustainable Development Goal 16. Like I said, I didn't get a chance to proofread any of this. It's just all coming together through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Ooh, that's some. Oh my God! This push toward a digital identity has its roots in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. United Nations, one world goals, and the 2030 Agenda. The Sustainable Development Goals are a collection of 17 interlinked objectives adopted by the United Nations in 2015 with the ostensible goal of ending poverty, protecting the planet, and spreading peace and prosperity to all people by 2030. Such a benevolent and noble act, right? Fuck out of here. Their actions, however, regularly belie their stated intentions. They're not really telling you the truth of what they are really going to do. Now, I just want to jump down here. I found this interesting. I didn't get a chance. I put all of these in the description box. One document from United Nations titled United Nations Strategy for Legal Identity for All further defines what is meant by legal and digital identity. A legal identity is essentially a form of registration with the civil body or government. The UN document, and notice it says a government, just one. New World Order, one government, one money system, one religion, one everything. The UN document makes it clear that legal identity is widely acknowledged to be catalytic for achieving at least 10 of the SDGs, and the data generated by the registration supports the measurement of more than 60 SDG indicators. Legal identity has a critical role to ensure the global community upholds its promise of leaving no one behind as espoused in the 2030 Agenda, the UN report states, right? Because they want everybody. That's why it's going to fall upon everyone. It's going to be the hour of temptation for everybody. And the SDG is Sustainable Development Goals. All right? These are their goals. Then it says digital identity as a human right. And see, everything is painted as it's going to help the public. It's going to help you. You can't find a job? No worries. You got UBI, Universal Basic Income. Yeah, you ain't going to have nothing, but you'll be happy. You don't have to work. All you have to do is just lay back and do whatever you want. But you got to take that thing. The World Economic Forum. See, I didn't know this was here. The World Economic Forum, which is in Davos, Switzerland, which happens to be the highest city in Europe. Because what are they trying to achieve? The goal of that pyramid. And what is the goal of the pyramid? To get to the all seeing eye. Big brother. Big brother. To reach that goal of having the whole world under their grip. It says the United Nations and the World Bank. Yeah, because it's all coming together. The United Nations is not the only supranational body lobbying for digital identity. In January 2021, the World Economic Forum met for their annual meeting to discuss the Davos agenda. My goodness, hold on. Salaka for that. I had to take that call. But pretty much, you get the gist of it. You could now read these articles, and pretty much everything is going digital. It's pursuant to the scriptures. The MO to the TB, which is the C to the H to the I to the P, the charagma. This is why they're pushing everything to go online, because it's it's an agenda, and it's a trap. And that's why, we constantly harp on it and talk about it, to the point where people get sick of hearing about it. But guess what? That's how the Lord wants it. He said this in the book of Ezekiel. Let's go to Ezekiel. We could just end it there real quick. I'm sorry, not 13. Let me go back. Ezekiel 3 and 17. It says, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore hear the word in my mouth and give them warning from me. So the Lord is saying to give warning. And then when you read the second chapter, it says whether they will hear or whether they will forbear. And the word for warning is Zahar. Zahar. It's a good name for a brother. Zahar. Warning. To admonish, or, admonish, the admonisher. Zahar. Or Zahar Wa. He, admonisher. To admonish, warn, teach, shine. Send out light. Yeah, because the Yahushua said that his disciples were the light of the world, underneath him. They're the salt of the earth. They're the light. He said, let your lights be girded about, and let your loins be girded about, and your light shining. Be light, be shining. Right, because when you are warning somebody, you're pretty much shining the light on them. It says to be taught, be admonished, to teach, warn, to shine, send out light. So it's a warning. So the Lord sent us up to warn you, to enlighten by caution. And we keep telling the world through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, through his Holy Spirit, that something is going down. It's coming down the pike. Prepare yourself. Brace yourself. It's coming. Be warned. Be ready. Be prepared mentally, because these jive turkeys ain't doing that. They're not warning you. Ezekiel 13 and 5. Ye have not gone up into the gaps. And some of them don't even go out in the streets anymore. Some of them are elders and, and generals and, bishops and all. They don't even go on the streets anymore teaching. They pretty much retired from that. Neither made up the hedge for the house of Israel to stand in the battle in the day of the Lord. So they have not prepared the people. So the people are going to get jacked up. And those that did not warn and held their peace and led the sheep to destruction, guess what? They're going to be destroyed themselves. So let's read this again. That's why Yahushua said, they be blind leaders of the blind, and if the blind lead the blind, they shall both fall into the ditch. That's why I said, leave them alone. Don't even worry about it. The warnings are out. The trumpets are being sounded. The alarm is blaring. If they can't hear it, then it's not meant for them. But when they will hear it? When calamity starts to fall upon them. And once calamity starts to fall upon them, that's when their ears are going to be attentive to what's going on. And they're going to want to hear the instructions that leads them to safety. But it's going to be too late at that time. Because this is the time to heed the warnings. To heed the trumpet. To heed the alarm that's coming down the pike. And they don't want to listen. All right. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. Till the next time I say shalom.